Someone disrespected you today. Maybe they cut you off mid-sentence. Maybe they canceled on you again at the last minute. Maybe they made that small joke just sharp enough that everyone laughed at except you. And you smiled. You let it slide. You told yourself it wasn't worth reacting to. But here's what actually happened. They tested you, and you failed. Every person you interact with is running an unspoken experiment. They're not doing it consciously, and they're not trying to be cruel. But the question is always the same. What can I get away with? Your reaction, or your lack of one, gives them the answer. When you laugh it off, you tell them it's safe. When you stay quiet, you tell them it's allowed. When you excuse their behavior, you tell them there are no consequences. That isn't kindness. That's permission. Permission to do it again. Permission to go further next time. Permission to treat you like your presence doesn't carry weight. This pattern has destroyed friendships, careers, families, and entire lives. History is full of people with good hearts who believed respect came from being patient, understanding, and fair. They thought if they just stayed calm, things would improve. They were wrong. Respect does not come from intention, it comes from enforcement. Humans don't respect who deserves it, they respect who demands it through behavior. Right now, there is someone in your life quietly pushing your boundaries. They're watching how much they can take before you push back. They're measuring how far they can go before there's a cost. And if you're watching this video, there's a strong chance you haven't pushed back yet. You've been patient, you've been forgiving, you've been understanding, and they've been taking notes. Today, that ends. Because once you understand what's really happening, you can't unsee it. Here's the truth no one tells you. Society does not run on fairness or good intentions. It runs on rank. Every interaction places you somewhere in a hierarchy. Not consciously, not deliberately, but instinctively. Within seconds of meeting you, people decide, do I respect this person or test them? Do I accommodate them or push them? Do I give or can I take? This isn't evil, it's survival code. Humans evolved in hierarchies, and the brain still scans for position automatically. The people who failed to read rank were dominated, excluded, or erased. That wiring never disappeared. And here's the dangerous part. If you don't claim your position, society assigns you one, usually at the bottom. Not because you belong there, but because you acted like rank didn't matter. Think about someone you know who rarely gets disrespected. They're not necessarily smarter or more successful than you. They don't argue more, they don't explain themselves endlessly, they don't tolerate small violations. They set a boundary once, and people believe them. They say no without apologizing, and no one questions it. They carry themselves in a way that signals crossing me has a cost. Now look at your own recent behavior. How many times did you let something slide this week? How many times did you explain yourself when you didn't need to? How many times did you say yes when everything in you wanted to say no? Each of those moments was a test, and each time you didn't stand firm, you taught people where you belong in their internal hierarchy. People don't rank what you feel, they rank what you show. Your internal goodness is invisible. Your behavior is the only data they have. And right now, that data says you're someone who absorbs disrespect, smooths tension, and avoids consequences. That doesn't make you kind. It makes you convenient. Convenient people get interrupted because others know they'll wait. They get canceled on because others know they'll understand. They get disrespected because there's no price to pay. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're just sending the wrong signals. And the moment you change those signals, everything changes. Stop expecting people to honor your intentions. They can't see them. Stop hoping patience will earn respect. It won't. Stop believing tolerance is strength. Unchecked tolerance invites abuse. From this moment forward, understand one rule. Behavior creates rank. Drop that affirmation in the comments. Behavior creates rank. In the next part, you'll learn why signaling safety makes you a target and how to remove just a few subtle behaviors instantly shifts how people treat you. Look closely at any social setting, a workplace meeting, a family gathering, a group of friends. Someone always gets interrupted. Someone always becomes the punchline. Someone's boundaries get pushed again and again, and someone doesn't. They're not louder, they're not aggressive, they don't argue more, they simply don't get tested. Why? Because they don't signal safety. Most people think respect comes from confidence, status, or charm. That's wrong. The real divider is something far more primitive: perceived danger. Not violence, not hostility. Consequences. People who are never disrespected carry a quiet signal that says, "Try it if you want, but something will happen." That signal is subtle, but the human brain detects it instantly. Long before words are exchanged, the nervous system decides whether someone is safe to push or better left alone. Now look at the signals you've been sending. Someone makes a comment that crosses the line and you smile. You laugh at jokes that don't sit right with you. You nod while someone talks over you. You say, "It's fine," when it clearly isn't. Each of those reactions broadcasts the same message: I am safe to disrespect. Nothing bad will happen, there will be no cost, no resistance, no consequence. Let's break down the most damaging safety signals, because once you see them, you can't unsee them. First, over-smiling. That nervous smile when someone says something uncomfortable, that forced laugh when you're actually annoyed, that reflex to keep the mood light at your own expense. People don't interpret this as politeness, they interpret it as submission. The brain translates it as, "This person won't defend themselves." Second, over-explaining. Someone questions your decision and you immediately launch into reasons. You justify your boundaries with long stories. You feel the need to make everyone understand why you chose what you chose. What you're really saying is, "My choices are negotiable." People don't argue with solid walls, they argue with open doors. Third, emotional smoothing. Someone cancels last minute and you rush to reassure them. Someone is rude and you brush it off to avoid tension. Someone keeps taking from you and you keep giving to preserve harmony. That doesn't make you mature, it makes you predictable. And predictable people are easy to exploit. Humans are wired to seek the path of least resistance, not because they're evil, but because efficiency is survival. If disrespecting you is easy, people will do it. If crossing you is comfortable, they won't stop. This is where most people get it wrong. They believe being safe makes them likable. In reality, it makes them forgettable, or worse, usable. There is a reason love and respect don't always travel together. When forced to choose, the human brain prioritizes self-preservation over warmth. That's why people test the kind, but hesitate around those with an edge. An edge doesn't mean cruelty, it means uncertainty. People need to sense that crossing you creates discomfort. So here's your first shift. Stop performing happiness when you're being disrespected. You don't need to explode, you don't need to lecture, you don't need to create a scene. Just remove the smile. Let your face reflect reality. Calm, neutral, unimpressed. Next, stop rushing to fill silence. Silence is uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. When someone says something inappropriate and you don't immediately rescue the moment, the weight lands on them. The awkwardness does the correcting for you. Discomfort teaches faster than explanation ever could. And finally, stop making things easy for people who make things hard for you. Comfort is a reward, it is not a default right. People who treat you well earn warmth. People who don't lose access to it. This alone will start shifting how others behave around you. Because the moment disrespect becomes uncomfortable, most people stop. Not because they've had a moral awakening, but because the environment changed. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am not safe. Not unsafe, not cruel, just not available for disrespect. In the next part, you'll learn how emotional reactions give others control and how cutting off emotional access instantly flips the power dynamic. If someone can trigger you, they control you. Read that again. Every time someone knows exactly what to say to make you defensive, angry, insecure, or flustered, they hold real power over you. Not symbolic power, practical power. The kind that determines who dominates the interaction and who loses footing. Think about the last time someone got under your skin. Maybe they brought up your past. Maybe they made a comment about your competence, your appearance, or your choices. Maybe they used that specific tone, the one that always sets you off, and you reacted. Your face changed, your voice tightened. You started explaining, defending, or snapping back. In that moment, they handed them the controls. You showed them which button works. And once someone finds a button that works, they press it again. Not accidentally, not playfully, strategically. That's why the same people keep using the same tactics on you. It isn't coincidence, it's pattern recognition. They tested something once, it produced a reaction, and now it's their favorite move. Predictable reactions make you controllable. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Emotional reactions are invitations. Every visible flash of anger, hurt, or insecurity tells the other person, this is effective. Do this again. Even when your reaction feels justified, it reinforces the behavior you want to stop. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They believe standing up for themselves means reacting strongly, raising their voice, showing how much it bothered them, explaining why the comment crossed a line. But emotional display doesn't create respect, it creates entertainment. The moment someone realizes they can shake you, the power dynamic shifts in their favor. The interaction becomes a game, and they're winning. So what's the countermove? You remove access. When someone says something designed to provoke you, your expression stays neutral, your posture stays relaxed, your voice remains level. You don't defend, you don't explain, you don't reveal impact. You become unreadable. Not cold, not hostile, just unreachable. And something fascinating happens. The person who tried to provoke you suddenly looks exposed. They expected impact, they expected resistance, they expected emotion. Instead, they hit nothing. They're left standing there with their comment hanging in the air unsupported. The attention turns back on them. The discomfort shifts. The game stops being fun when there's no reaction. That moment is where power flips, because now they're the ones scrambling, trying to recover, clarify, or soften what they said. They might laugh awkwardly, they might backtrack, they might push harder hoping to finally get a response, but you don't give them one. This isn't suppression, it's control. You're not bottling emotions, you're choosing not to donate them to someone who hasn't earned access. Your emotional responses are valuable, they're intimate, they belong to people who respect you, not to those testing you for sport. And here's something important to understand. Emotional neutrality is not weakness, it's selection. You're deciding who gets to affect your mood, who gets to matter, who gets inside your inner world. Most people never make that decision consciously. They react automatically, handing power to anyone with the right trigger. You're learning to do the opposite. The first few times you do this, it will feel uncomfortable. Silence always does. Your instinct will be to fill the space, to explain yourself, to show something. Resist that urge. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. When someone realizes their words didn't land, they feel it. When they see they can't move you, they adjust. Humans don't keep using tools that don't work. This is why calm, emotionally grounded people are rarely targeted, not because they're intimidating, but because they're unrewarding. There's nothing to gain from provoking them. If you look around your life and notice certain people constantly trying to get reactions out of you, that's not random. It's because you've been feeding them, giving them exactly what they're looking for. Stop feeding them. Not out of anger, not out of spite, out of clarity. When someone crosses a line, they get nothing. No visible hurt, no anger, no performance, just a blank wall. And if they escalate, you don't. You stay consistent. Consistency is what breaks patterns. Over time, people learn who they can play with and who they can't. When they learn you're unreachable, they adjust their behavior or drift away. Both outcomes are wins. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am unreachable. In the next part, you'll learn the most powerful verbal move you can make, how to name disrespect once, then let silence do the damage. Most people fail at handling disrespect in one of two ways. They either ignore it completely, pretending nothing happened and hoping it goes away, or they address it repeatedly, explaining how they feel, revisiting it again and again, trying to make the other person understand. Both approaches fail. Ignored disrespect doesn't disappear, it escalates. Repeatedly addressing disrespect doesn't create respect, it creates negotiation, and respect cannot be negotiated. There is a third way. It's quiet, it's controlled, and it works. You name the disrespect once, clearly and calmly. Then you go silent. No emotional charge, no explanation, no debate, just a statement of fact. Here's what that looks like in real life. Someone interrupts you for the third time. Instead of talking louder or shutting down, you stop speaking entirely. You look at them and say, "You interrupted me." That's it. No, "I feel like," no, "maybe you didn't mean to," no softening language. Then you say nothing. The silence does the work. This is powerful because humans rely on gray areas. Most disrespect lives in ambiguity. People hide behind intention. "I was just joking. I didn't realize. You're being sensitive." The moment you name the behavior plainly, the gray area disappears. They've been exposed. Now they have to sit with it. And silence forces a choice. They can apologize, they can double down, or they can sit in discomfort. Whatever they choose, they feel the cost. That cost teaches faster than any emotional explanation ever could. This works because you're not asking for respect, you're demonstrating awareness. You're showing that you noticed, that you're not confused, and that you won't pretend it didn't happen. But there's a rule you must follow. You only do this once. If you repeat yourself, you lose power. Repetition looks like pleading. It signals uncertainty. It says you're trying to convince someone to care. People who respect you hear you the first time. People who don't won't suddenly change because you said it louder or longer. One clear statement is strength. Two is weakness. So your pattern becomes simple. State the violation once, then let your behavior enforce the boundary. If it happens again, you don't issue another warning. You don't revisit the conversation. You don't explain yourself. You escalate through action, not words. That might mean withdrawing warmth. That might mean limiting access. That might mean removing yourself entirely. But you never repeat the same boundary verbally, because boundaries backed by repetition are suggestions. Boundaries backed by action are law. Most people avoid this approach because it feels uncomfortable. Silence always does. But discomfort is exactly why it works. When you don't rush to resolve the tension, you force the other person to carry it. You stop doing emotional labor on their behalf. And here's the truth. People remember the moment they felt exposed far more than the conversation they forgot 5 minutes later. You don't need to win arguments. You don't need to be understood. You need to be clear. Clarity eliminates confusion, and confusion is where disrespect hides. There's another reason this works so well. It preserves your dignity. You're not pleading. You're not reacting emotionally. You're not trying to control the other person. You're simply naming reality. And reality is hard to argue with. Once you start doing this, you'll notice something shift. People become more careful with you. They interrupt less. They test less. They choose their words more deliberately. Not because they fear you, but because they recognize awareness. Awareness signals strength. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Once is enough. In the final part, you'll learn the most difficult lesson of all, how withdrawing without explanation becomes the ultimate consequence, and why it permanently rewrites how people treat you. This is the lesson that separates people who talk about boundaries from people who are actually respected. When someone repeatedly disrespects you, after you've stayed calm, after you've named it once, after you've removed emotional access, you don't argue, you don't explain, you don't negotiate, you withdraw. No warning, no final speech, no dramatic confrontation. You simply remove your presence, your attention, and your availability from their life. This goes against everything you've been taught. You've been told that good people communicate, that mature people talk things through, that cutting someone off without explanation is cruel or immature. But here's the truth those lessons leave out. Staying after repeated disrespect is approval. When you continue showing up for someone who has demonstrated they don't respect you, your words become meaningless. You teach them that boundaries are suggestions, that consequences aren't real, that they can cross you and you'll still be there. Words without action are noise, and people learn very quickly whose words matter and whose don't. Most people know exactly what they did. They're not confused. They're betting you won't actually leave. They're counting on your need for closure, your desire to be understood, your hope that this time will be different. Withdrawal is the only language that reaches people who ignore everything else. And here's what usually happens. Many won't reach out at all, not because they don't notice, but because they do. They understand why you're gone. They just didn't expect you to follow through. Some will reach out. They'll ask what's wrong. They'll act confused. They'll want to talk things out. This is where most people collapse. They explain, they revisit old pain, they give one more chance, and the cycle resets. If someone repeatedly disrespected you, they do not deserve closure. Closure is for relationships that tried, for people who showed effort, care, and accountability. People who ignored your boundaries already made their choice. Your job is not to teach them. You are not their therapist. You are not responsible for their growth or understanding. You are responsible for your own self-respect. If you must respond because they persist, keep it minimal. I've moved on. That's it. No details, no emotion, no opening for debate. Because the moment you explain, you reopen negotiation. And people who ignored your boundaries don't want understanding. They want access. They want the version of you that tolerated everything. You're no longer that person. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. Now let's pull everything together because this matters. Society does not protect quiet people. It does not reward endless patience. It does not grant respect to those who ask nicely while being stepped on. Society watches consequences. It watches who enforces boundaries and who just talks about them. Who walks away when disrespected and who stays anyway. Who makes crossing them costly and who makes it free. Respect follows consequences. Not because people are cruel, but because humans are wired to avoid loss. This is the shift you must make. Stop being harmless. Notice I didn't say become harmful. Harmful people hurt others to feel powerful. They're loud, reactive, and destructive. That's not strength, that's insecurity. Harmless people are different. They're safe to disrespect. Everyone knows they'll absorb it, smooth it over, explain it away, and stay regardless. That's what needs to end. You're not becoming cruel. You're becoming someone with teeth. Someone who doesn't bite without reason, but absolutely will if pushed. That potential alone changes everything. And here's the truth most people never realize. It only takes one time. One moment where someone disrespects you and you name it once, then go silent. One boundary where you don't justify. One relationship where you withdraw without explanation. That single action rewrites the entire dynamic. People remember. They adjust. They recalibrate. They treat you differently. Not because you demanded it, but because the old playbook stopped working. You no longer argue. You no longer over-explain. You no longer tolerate. You act. And action is what people respect. Stop proving your worth through endless tolerance. Stop believing respect comes from availability and accommodation. Respect comes from what people fear losing when they cross you. Your time, your presence, your attention, your energy. The moment people realize those things are not guaranteed, that crossing you means losing access, everything changes. They start listening. They start choosing their behavior more carefully. They start treating you like you matter. Because you do matter. You always did. You just stopped acting like it. So here's your move. Think of one person who has been testing you, just one. The next time it happens, apply what you learned. Name it once and go silent, or delay access, or withdraw completely. Pick one lesson and enforce it. Watch what happens when you stop playing by the old rules. If this hit you, like the video. Share it with someone who's been letting people walk all over them. Subscribe because we're exposing the truths about human behavior most people are too uncomfortable to face. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am not harmless. Because respect doesn't come from asking. It doesn't come from being nice. It doesn't come from meaning well. It comes from what people fear losing when they cross you. And they should fear losing you. Now go take your power back. If you've stayed until now, it's because something clicked. Not motivation, not excitement, recognition. You recognized patterns you've lived through, moments you brushed off, times you stayed quiet when something inside you said, this isn't right. This wasn't random. This wasn't entertainment. This was a mirror. And once you see yourself clearly, you don't get to pretend anymore. Here's what matters now. Nothing you've learned works if it stays theoretical. Insight without action changes nothing. Understanding without enforcement just makes you more aware and more frustrated. Respect doesn't arrive gradually. It arrives the moment behavior changes. Not tomorrow, not after another conversation, not when people finally understand you. The shift happens the first time someone disrespects you and you don't respond the old way. No explaining, no smoothing, no emotional leakage, just calm clarity. That one moment becomes a reference point. People remember it. They adjust around it, and even those who never test you again feel the difference. Because once someone realizes you're not harmless, everything recalibrates. Let's be clear about something. This isn't about dominance. It's not about control. It's not about winning social games. It's about self-respect. When you stop tolerating disrespect, you're not punishing others. You're honoring yourself. You're declaring that your time, energy, and presence are valuable, and access to them is conditional. That mindset changes everything. You stop chasing approval, you stop explaining your existence, you stop shrinking to keep others comfortable. And here's the irony most people never expect. The calmer you become, the more seriously you're taken. The quieter your responses, the louder your presence feels. The less you justify, the more authority you project. Because confidence isn't loud. Confidence doesn't argue. Confidence doesn't chase. Confidence decides. Some people won't like this version of you. They benefited from the old one. They relied on your silence. They depended on your forgiveness without change. Let them go. People who only respect you when you're convenient were never on your side. And the moment you stop making things easy for them, they'll reveal who they are. That's not loss. That's clarity. Others will surprise you. They'll rise to the standard you set. They'll treat you better, not because you demanded it, but because your behavior demanded it for you. That's how this works. Not everyone deserves access. Not every relationship is meant to continue, and not every bridge needs closure before you walk away. Peace comes from alignment, not explanation. You don't need to announce your transformation. You don't need to justify it. You don't need permission. You just need to enforce it once. And once you do, something shifts internally. You stop feeling anxious before conversations. You stop replaying moments in your head. You stop wondering if you overreacted or stayed too quiet, because you know where you stand. And when you know where you stand, people feel it. That's the real power here. Not fear, not intimidation, certainty. So as this ends, don't think about everyone in your life. Think about one situation, one person, one moment where the old version of you would have smiled, explained, or absorbed it, and decide now what the new version does instead. Not aggressively, not emotionally, clearly. That decision is the line. Once you cross it, there's no going back. If this resonated, don't just like the video, apply it. Share it with someone who's been shrinking themselves to keep the peace. Subscribe if you're ready to confront uncomfortable truths instead of comforting lies. And before you leave, drop this one final affirmation in the comments. I choose respect over comfort, because comfort keeps you small. Respect sets you free. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were before you learned to tolerate being disrespected. Now go act like it.